Minister of Higher Education, Chancellor of Academic Orders, Professor Jacques Famdongo, has announced that no private higher education in Cameroon is authorized to offer doctorate-level trainings. Plus, Benin's Finance Minister, Romuald Wadagini, has claimed a sweeping victory in the country's presidential election that took place recently. And African women's national teams are entering a decisive phase of preparations. The April FIFA international window offers a vital testing ground. These and more will be yours in a few minutes to come. Good evening and welcome to News Hour on Royal TV. I am Sharon Tita for presentation. Denizens of Barongi Bikang in the Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon took to the streets early today, demanding the reinstatement of electricity in the area. Reports say the people of Barongi Bikang have gone for over 6 months without electricity. Details in the following report with Frida Lena Voma.
The people of Barombikang say they have endured enough without power, families struggle to preserve food, children cannot study at night, and businesses are collapsing. Their patience has run out. Local shopkeepers say their livelihoods are fading, refrigerated goods spoil, customers disappear, and income vanishes. 6 months without electricity has left the community feeling abandoned. Barombikang is not just any village, it is a vital gateway linking Boya to Kumba. Yet, its people feel cut off, neglected, and unheard. Their protest is a plea for attention, for action, for justice. The message from Barombikang is clear: restore electricity, restore hope. Their call is not only to the power company, but to authorities at every level. They want solutions and not promises.
The whole thing is interesting.
As the candles burn in Barombikang, so does the determination of its people. Their demand is simple: let there be light. The question now, who will answer?
Frida Lena Voma, there ends in that report. The Executive Bureau of Sintrakam Boya has paid a courtesy visit to Royal Television here in Boya over the weekend. The drivers' union representative reiterated its efforts in fighting indecent dressing and risky driving practices by taxi drivers in Boya so as to improve the image of commercial drivers in Boya. Details in the following report with Natalie Juma.
It was a rare scene at Royal Television Boya recently as a 5-man delegation from Sintrakam Boya, led by its regional president Denis Mesumbe, paid a courtesy visit to Royal Television.
The man is always fooling me that place.
The visit that took place in the studio of Royal Television lasted for over an hour, where the Sintrakam delegation exchanged diplomatic handshakes with the CEO of Royal Television, Alhaji Buba Sali. The president of Sintrakam reiterated that the goal of the visit is to open direct communication with the press and to appreciate the media for their constant support in their ongoing sanitation campaign aimed at cleaning the taxi driving sector in Boya, as well as to revive safer road practices.
With SEPAS, I went to a driving school, and I was being taught in a driving school that it has many disadvantages to drive with SEPAS. When people see me went out for a fee control under sanitation here in Boya, it's because we want to make our sector to be that kind of sector that people should respect it. And how can people respect our sector? Before you, the journalist, coming to your own office, you pass through taxis. Not everybody that has a private car. And the first priority is taxi. You cannot carry a journalist that make the nationwide, the municipality, the environment to go far. You carry a journalist that report on daily basis, minute by minute, hour, seconds. You carry a journalist, whereas you are unkept. These are the people that they can make this community, the society, to fall less than 1 minute. And they can make the society to come up less than 0 seconds. You cannot carry somebody, people like this in their own first office before they want to reach their office. They're unkept. I say no to that here in our municipality.
Royal TV's editor-in-chief Frida Navoma welcomed the Sintrakam delegation as she applauded them for their work in strengthening discipline and sanitation amongst taxi drivers in Boya. Before leaving, the Sintrakam Boya ESCO toured the Royal TV studio and took pictures with the CEO and staff of Royal TV, who gladly welcomes them.
The Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famdongo, has announced that no private higher education institution in Cameroon is authorized to offer doctorate-level trainings. The statement was made in a communique sent out on April 13, 2026. I read: the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Chancellor of Academic Orders informed the university community and the public that no private higher education institution in Cameroon is authorized to offer training at the doctorate level. Likewise, no authorization is currently in force for so-called offshore doctorate programs within the national territory. Consequently, candidates who enrolled in such programs do so at their own risk, considering that the diplomas obtained from them shall in no case be recognized in Cameroon. Furthermore, the Minister of State reminds the public that his ministerial department, through the Inspectorate General of Academic Affairs 9th floor, the Department for the Development of Higher Education 13th floor, remains available at all times to provide reliable information to anyone wishing to verify the validity of training programs within the entire higher education system. Done in Yaoundé and signed by the Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famdongo. That was the communique sent out by the Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famdongo. And now on to this other news. To prepare for Pope Leo XIV's arrival, an advanced delegation from Vatican conducted a readiness assessment of Bamenda Airport recently, reviewing security, protocol and logistics. Details in the following reports. Advanced delegation from Vatican conducted a readiness assessment at Bamenda Airport recently, reviewing security, protocol and logistics. We now take you to that report which took place in Bamenda. On to this other news on our news lineup for today. Pope Leo XIV has carried out an inspection of Bamenda Airport to assess its readiness for the Pontiff's upcoming visit to Bamenda. The delegation was accompanied by the Governor of the Northwest Region, Adolphe Lele Lafrique, the Archbishop of the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province, His Grace Andrew Nkia, and the President of the Catholic Men Association, OK Johnson. The team toured key facilities including the runway, passenger terminals, and restrooms to ensure all meet Vatican protocol standards.
About 97% ready to receive the Pope. The little adjustments that the visiting team, the advanced team has been able to do in terms of protocol, in terms of cleanliness, mostly in terms of protocol and placement, because all the other things are in place. Just an adjustment, I say and I repeat, in terms of protocol, how the team is going to stand, how the Pope is going to move, where he's going to stand, and where the team is going to make its welcome the Pope and how they're going to move. Those are the little adjustments that have to be done.
Papal visits typically involve months of coordination between Vatican officials and local church authorities and government agencies. Standard preparations include security arrangements, crowd control measures, liturgical setup, media zones, and medical supports. Bamenda Airport is expected to serve as a primary entry point before the pontiff travels by road to where major events are scheduled. Civil authorities have urged residents to cooperate with security directives, while the church has called for prayer and orderly conduct during the historic visit. Treasured Wives Network, in a bid to building better homes, have convened young men mostly groomed in the waiting for Grooming the Groom Conference 2026, tasked equipping the next generation of godly husbands. Honoricheng says the platform outrightly served both young unmarried men as well as experienced and newbies in marriage. Details in the following report with Honoricheng.
Equipping the next generation of godly husbands. This is the theme that underlined the men gathering that took place over the weekend, organized by Treasured Wives Network in Boya, Taforita. The organizer holds the gathering of these ministers is envisaged to build not just better homes, but the sense of morality and purpose.
It's a conference aimed at imbibing in our young brothers, 18 years plus, and those who have been married 0 to 5 years, the right culture of how a husband is supposed to be.
Pastor Tafonkwa Albert engaged the participants at several levels, especially on the need for men to find themselves before finding their wives.
My presentation was about understanding husbandhood. So we realize in our society today that many homes are in conflict and division because the husband don't know their role in the marriage.
The unmarried men are unanimous that their knowledge gap has been bridged based on what they have gathered from the meeting.
I came to learn from the wealth of knowledge of the speakers that are here to see how I could prepare myself for the next phase of my life.
You know, one of the things I've actually learned in this program is that while preparing to get married, you need to learn to build yourself. Building yourself physically, building yourself spiritually, building yourself psychologically, building yourself financially.
More efforts have to be put into the marriage ministry because marriage, they say, receives a lot of attacks from the enemy.
This is a rare one because it's talking about single brothers. So my going home message today is, I've learned that if a brother, a Christian brother, is not like that kind of brother that put boundaries, that will be imbalance in his life, both in his career, both in his marital life when he wants to settle down.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher. So sitting under such a rich cream of fathers in the faith is such a blessing, as participants acknowledge.
My topic is maximizing singlehood, finding and fulfilling your purpose. That is my topic. And I feel that the topic is so instrumental in preparing the men for marriage because you have to find your purpose before you find your partner.
The Grooming the Groom Conference 2026 principally targeted a vast majority of groom in the waiting room.
I got to learn to be a man of integrity in the workplace, the family. I got to learn as well to have personal work with God.
The platform is geared at uplifting the marriage ministry and networking amongst men of God and brothers in the Lord. Treasured Wives Network was a place to pray, teach, worship, and transform lives through powerful and anointed gospel fathers in the Lord.
Worship is not simply a means of communication with God, it is also a way of life that engages us, father to daughter, father to son, and above all, spirit to spirit. Honoricheng in the upcoming report scans through Christians in Boya who tell us what worship indeed entails.
Worshipping God in truth and spirit entails a lot for the most part. It speaks of sacrifice, obedience, and a sense of communion, father to child, spirit to spirit, as this music minister indexes.
The Lord inhabits the praise of his people. And so when people praise and worship, they automatically invoke the presence of God. And when God is there, there is an exchange, spirit to spirit. And in this exchange, there is transformation, there is impact.
As a worshiper, Ashley Mbeng, also known as Jehovah's daughter, now thrills us into this a cappella.
The overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God, and oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found. He lives the night tonight.
From rap to hip hop, we could see Makosa Asiko, Ambas Be, Njang Sasa, and Mbole. God listens to all languages and all people, so long as the song is intended to glorify his name.
I'm a Christian hip hop artist, a poet. We are praising God with every voice, every tongue, every tribe, every people, every nation, as the Bible declares. Everything that has breath today, we are praising the Lord with rap, poetry, spoken word, comedy, dance, and all.
Worship can really not be grasped in its totality because connecting with God in worship varies from one person to another, as explained by Pastor Flavi Praise.
The power of God is not just by somebody shaking, it's by an encounter. There's a peace that just comes, maybe that may be the power of God. And there's somebody, maybe the person feels a kind of touch and something breaks out from the person.
Fen Christabel, journalist with RGTV Bamenda, braved the odds to come worship God at the just ended Worship Exodus 2026. Worship means a lot to her. It is a way of life.
You know, the Bible tells us in the book of John that those who worship him, a time is coming where those who worship him will not only worship him in the flesh, but they worship him in spirit and in truth. So to me, worship is not just songs, it's not just the lyrics of songs. Worship is a lifestyle.
Worship is what becomes your lifestyle, or praise becomes your lifestyle, in which you exalt God, you lift his name, you honor him in practically your daily life.
I tell you, he replied, if they keep quiet, the stones will cry out. That is, the stones will worship God. So now, don't be the last to worship God.
Thank you very much, Honoring Cheng, for that report. And now onto our foreign page. Benin's Finance Minister Romat Watagini has claimed a sweeping victory in the country's presidential election, securing more than 94% of the votes according to provincial results from the Electoral Commission. Plus, Malawi's former finance minister has been arrested on suspicion of corruption and money laundering in what authorities say is part of an expanding post-election crackdown on officials from the previous administration. Details in the following report with Nanga Sonia.
Romuald Wadangi has secured a decisive win in Benin's presidential election, taking 94% of the vote according to provisional results released by the Electoral Commission. Wadangi's main challenger, Paul Wonkwe, conceded defeat even before the final count was complete, offering his Republican congratulations and calling for unity beyond political divides. Despite the landslide, turnout was uneven, particularly in urban areas where participation ranged between 20 and 40% in some polling stations. Overall turnout stood at 58.75%, with observers praising a generally peaceful and well-organized vote. Backed by outgoing President Patrice Talon, Wadangi's victory signals continuity after a decade of economic growth and infrastructure expansion. However, major challenges remain, including high poverty levels and a widening wealth gap, as well as rising jihadist violence in the country's north. With presidential terms now extended to 7 years, the next elections are not due until 2033, leaving Wadangi with a long mandate to address security and social concerns. Malawian police arrested the former finance minister Sunday on suspicion of money laundering and abuse of office in the latest move in a widening post-election crackdown on former senior officials. Simplex Chitiola, the leader of the opposition in the current parliament, handed himself to police after hearing he was sought by investigators. Chitiola was finance minister between 2023 and 2025 in the government of ex-president Lazarus Chakwera that was replaced in September elections dominated by soaring cost of living in the Southern African country. Figures linked to the former Malawi Congress Party administration have come under legal scrutiny in a series of investigations into alleged corruption and financial misconduct during its term. Chitiola had cracked down public attention for conspicuous delays of wealth in his unsuccessful campaign for the position of MCP Secretary General. At least 8 former cabinet ministers or high-ranking MCP-era figures have been detained or questioned by authorities. They include former Presidential and Cabinet Secretary Colin Zamba and the ex-ministers of Trade, Local Government, Information and Agriculture. Sosten Gwenge, who preceded Chitiola as Finance Minister, was also detained and released on bail. While authorities have yet to disclose full details of the cases, the arrest points to efforts by the administration of President Peter Mutharika to revisit decisions and transactions by its predecessor. Police have not indicated when Chitiola will appear in court. The former minister has not publicly commented on the charges.
Now, on to our sports page. African women's national teams are entering a decisive phase of preparations. The April FIFA international window offers a vital testing ground. The friendlies and global fixtures are shaping final strategies. Coaches are accessing depth and tactical flexibility. Momentum is building ahead of WAFCON 2026. The race for continental glory is clearly on the way. Details in the following report with Claudia Voma.
With the Women's Africa Cup of Nations 2026 fast approaching, African teams are making full use of the April international break to fine-tune their squad and sharpen their competitive edge. A series of regional and intercontinental fixtures has provided an ideal platform for experimentation and performance assessments. The action began on April 10, with Botswana opening their campaign against Saudi Arabia. Tunisia followed with a clash against Benin, using the encounter to test attacking variations against a defensively organized side. One of the standout fixtures saw Morocco host Tanzania as the Atlas Lionesses continued their impressive rise against a Tanzanian side eager to assert its growing presence on the continental stage. Attention shifted to high-profile encounters on April 14. South Africa faced Algeria in a compelling tactical battle, contrasting Bayana's pace and intensity with Algeria's structured approach. Egypt also met Saudi Arabia, while Benin took on Comoros in an open and competitive contest. The fixtures continued with Tunisia facing Comoros on April 16, before a renewed rivalry between South Africa and Algeria on April 17 offered both teams a chance to adjust tactically. On the same day, Morocco clashed with Ghana in a high-stakes encounter between two of Africa's strongest sides. The series wraps up on April 19 with Egypt and Saudi Arabia meeting again, providing further insights into both teams' readiness. However, Cameroon's indomitable Lionesses are notably absent from the April schedule, having not programmed any friendly matches during this international window, a situation that raises questions about their competitive readiness compared to other active nations. Beyond continental matchups, the FIFA series has expanded preparations opportunities through global exposure. Ivory Coast delivered a statement performance with 8-0 victory over Mauritania, highlighting their attacking prowess. Kenya hosted a mini-tournament featuring Australia, Malawi and India, while Zambia faced top-tier oppositions including Canada, Brazil and South Korea in a demanding schedule designed to test resilience at the highest level. DR Congo also engaged internationally, taking on Indonesia as Mauritania and Ivory Coast continued their respective campaigns against Pakistan, Antioch and Caicos. Overall, the April window has proven to be a crucial phase for African teams, offering valuable match experience, tactical refinement and squad evaluation. With preparations intensifying across continents, the focus now shifts to maintaining momentum and achieving peak performance when WAFCON 2026 kicks off later this year.
The The Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Dongo, has announced that no private higher education in Cameroon is authorized to offer doctorate-level trainings. Plus, Benin's Finance Minister Romat Wakagini has claimed a sweeping victory in the country's presidential election that took place recently. And African women's national teams are entering a decisive phase of preparations. The April FIFA international window offers a vital testing ground. So dear viewers of Royal TV, it's on this note that we wrap up our news for today. The news was produced by Natalie Juma, technically assisted by David Tita, and for presentation I am Sharon Tita. We leave you in the company of many more interesting programs.
Innovating in the audiovisual landscape is our